I will say, did I tell you guys the story of the helium? Did I tell you how I got it? I was looking to buy helium. All the guides, that tell you, oh, here's how I launched a weather balloon. Oh, you want to get into weather balloon launching and aerial photography? Here's how you get into it. Here's how you do this. I found all these videos, I found all these guides, and all of them basically were like, don't buy the tanks of helium at stores because it's a massive waste of money. It would take like 5 or 6 of those damn things to fill a weather balloon. So they said the economic way is you go to Party City and you rent a helium tank because they rent them for parties. And I was like, all right, sweet. Awesome. I'll just rent one from Party City. Turns out 2 years ago, or maybe 1 year ago, not that long ago, Party City went bankrupt and they shut down. They've been slowly shutting them down. And as of this year, they closed all the ones in town. So there are no remaining Party Cities. Oh, okay. Let me just find another party store that rents helium. You'd fucking think. I called probably like 6 or 7 different ones. None of them rented helium tanks. Eventually, thanks to my mods and people in my Discord, I was able to find a place in Akron that would sell me a small helium tank for like $200 that had, I think it's like a 20-liter helium tank, which would have been enough for this. Because okay, wait, I'm getting ahead of it. Because when I was like, oh, I can't rent one from Party City. Okay, let me go to Air Gas, which sells welding gases. It's where I got the CO2 tank with the siphon in it. They have like basically every gas. Okay, I'll go there. And so I went there and I asked them if they had helium, and they said, we have helium, but only in a size 300 cylinder, which is which is giant. And I was like, how much is the cylinder? And he's like, well, if you have an empty tank to exchange, it's going to be $850 for the helium, because it's 300 liters of helium, which is a shitload of helium. That's a ton. And then with the tank, it's like, it's well over $1,000. It's like almost $2,000. And I was like, fuck, man. I was like, well, I can't afford that. I need to do it to send a weather balloon. And there was another guy in there who was buying a tank of argon for welding. He's an old, like, a mechanic dude. He was in like a mechanic jumpsuit. So he was clearly there for business. And I had stood in line behind him waiting to get in, and then he had come out and I'd started, and then he had come back in to get some other thing. And he overheard and was like, oh, you need helium? I got an old helium tank that this old bastard I used to work with, he left it there like 10 years ago. It's just been in the back of the shop. I haven't used it for anything, but it's probably empty, but I'll let it go for $100. And I was like, all right, here's my phone number. Can you check if it has any helium in it? I'll gladly take it off your hands, even if it's not that much. And he's like, all right, I'll check. And the guy at the Air Gas was also helping and was like, oh yeah, put an argon regulator on it, because they'll read about the same on the argon regulator. You have to like multiply it by this to get density and whatever. But he was like, that'll tell you how full the tank is. So he goes, so I gave him my number. I keep searching around because I'm like, I don't know if this old guy's going to find, and he might just have an empty tank. And I was getting to the point where I was like, okay, I asked my Discord for help. They found a place in Akron, which is a bit of a drive, but I could definitely do it, that had a helium tank. But it was only open like 9 a.m. to like 3 p.m. It had like 4 days a week. So I was like, okay, I gotta really time myself to head on to Akron and get this helium tank, because it's the only place where they'd sell you one that wasn't giant. They would sell you a smaller, about like the size of that CO2 tank, for a couple $100. And I was like, that deal. That's a great deal for helium. But, and then my other option, if that didn't work, was to get hydrogen. And I was like, but annoying people in chat will tell me that it's flammable and I'm going to blow myself up, even though people use it for weather balloons all the time. Whatever. But then 2 days later, that guy calls me and he's like, hey, check the helium tank and it's actually full if you want to come down and get it. He's like, yeah, it's got 2,000 PSI on it, so it's like pretty full. And I was like, hell yes, dude. So I hauled my little car down there to this place in the middle of nowhere. Dude was showing me his old antique tractors he's doing mechanic work on for a bit. I think he just wanted to talk to someone else about his projects. So I was like, yeah, sure. And I was like, he was showing me all this cool stuff he's working on. He's rebuilding these transmissions and doing all this stuff. And then, yeah, sure enough, we got a full-size 300C helium tank. I read 1900 PSI on it. And I shoved that in my car. It barely fit in the back. Hauled it home and then strapped it to an old fence post in my driveway. And that's how we have helium. The helium is the hardest thing to get. Is 3,000? Or is it 3? It's a size. Sorry. I think I might be wrong about being 3,000 liters. I think that's incorrect. It is a size 3,000 tank. Sorry, a size 300 tank. I'm getting it all fucking wrong. Yes, 300 cubic feet. He has cornered the helium black market. Anyway, he was like, he only wanted $100 for it. I was about to go all the way to Akron and buy a much smaller tank for $200, so I just gave him $200. And I was like, you're saving my ass. Thank you so much, dude. And then headed on back. But that guy fucking saved me, dude, because getting the helium is the hardest part of the entire operation. That tank itself is worth a few dollars. Buddy, when that tank is empty, I am not taking it near an air gas. This guy was like, my friend left it, or like some old guy I used to work with left it here. That fucking thing is, okay, so the way you generally do big tanks like that is you don't buy them, you rent them from air gas. Because after a certain size, it becomes cheaper to rent the thing than it is to buy it. The tank alone's 100 empty. Air gas wants like 1,000, but yeah. It's air gas wants hundreds, or not 1,000. They want like $600 though. Anyway, I absolutely fucking guarantee that shit is a rental from air gas that the guy probably stopped paying his bill on fucking ages ago. I am not taking that in and then getting dinged with the getting dinged with the recovery on it. Honestly, if it's 10 years old, they're just gonna take it. Cause I won't be tied to the serial number. It'll be some other guy. You won't get hit for a bill? Yeah, I don't think I'd get hit for a bill. I think they'd just take the tank. And they'd be like, thanks. We needed to repo that. Yeah, it's like returning an old library book.